Gather round, one and all, and listen to tales of excitement and adventure. Tales of daring heroes, savage monsters, and bards who just couldn't keep it in their pants. Tales of friendship, nobility, drunken foolishness, and unforgettable fun. These are tales of role-playing games, fair listeners, and this is Rollin' Bones. My name is Ryan Howard, and I shall be your guide. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Danishes and Dragons. I am your host, Dungeon Master and King of the Boneheads, Ryan Howard, and you'll notice that unlike previous iterations of Danishes and Dragons, I am not flying solo today. I am indeed riding along with one of my good friends, a guy I haven't spoken to in a while, just because, our office has been shut down. But enough beating around the bush. You know him as the Shogun Gun on Twitter and Instagram and Mixer. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Gunner Calaway.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and thanks for coming on the show. So, as is tradition on Danishes and Dragons, we will begin the conversation with coffee and breakfast. So I guess I just got to ask you, what do you have in your mug this morning?
I'm thankful enough now where I've switched roles at our place of work. I'm in IT now, so they actually need me to come in and work on some computers and system stuff. I'll save the jargon, but I am able to go and see our lovely friends over at Dunn Brothers. Mm-hmm. Not sponsored by, I just love them. So I went over there. I picked up a pound of Guatemalan dark roast. Is my coffee this morning. Gotcha. I'm very, 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 very happy.
Gotcha. And I am still working through a bag of Kicking Horse Grizzly Claw.
Ooh, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good dark roast. We had a viewer tell me about it. I think they're Canadian. I think it's like a British Columbian company, and so they apparently have wide distribution, and one of the viewers on here recommended this. Fallen, you are a friend if you're watching. I don't want you to get the wrong idea here. It's not someone that we know in person, which is why I make the distinction. Well, that is great. So this morning for breakfast, I'm not eating on stream this time. I felt really weird about doing that last time, so it's not that kind of channel.
Okay. Not a talk show, podcast, ASMR kind of thing?
Oh yeah. No, we're not doing that.
Food review.
Mm-hmm. But this morning I did something a little bit weird. I made myself what I am calling a cheeseburger omelet.
Ooh. Tell me more.
So I recently made my own burger patties, and I'm still kind of working through those right now. But I just made your typical omelet. I put pepper jack cheese in it, and then I cut up some hamburger patty, stuck it in the microwave, and then stuck it in the pan. And the last thing I did, this is the weird part. So there's Worcestershire sauce. You can only say that word like Sean Connery.
Yeah. Worcestershire,
shaken, not stirred. And then I put pickles on top of it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm down. I'll try it.
Which, if Elfie, my wife, is watching, she will immediately get pangs of jealousy, because usually it is her job to put pickles on random things.
That's like her trademark, her signature chef adornment.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen it on Facebook, but I will have to routinely remind people that no, she is not in fact pregnant.
It's just a deep love for pickles.
Yep, it's a deep and burning passion for pickles that, oddly enough, I discovered on our honeymoon. Mm-hmm. We were walking around Universal Studios talking about lunch, And she just looks at me and goes, "I want pickles."
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, um, I'm sure we can find pickles somewhere." And she goes, "No, I need pickles."
Like there's a timer on it now. It's like the doomsday clock. Like we need pickles in T minus 3 minutes.
Yeah. And my immediate reaction was, "You can't already be pregnant." But
Yeah.
but no, she just really loves pickles, and you know what? I love pickles too, so it works out. It
One of the many reasons I'm sure why you two work so well together.
absolutely. Yep.
Most Mostly the love for pickles, but that's great. The so cheeseburger omelet.
Mhm.
It's funny you mentioned that because my like probably for the first 3 weeks after we got sent home, I don't know what it was, but all I was making for breakfast and even lunch twice a day were omelets, and I got really good at making omelets.
Mhm.
Like the whole like prep, adding like to try different things like mixing them while I'm like whipping up the eggs,
Mhm.
all kinds of different spices and stuff. I got really good at flipping them, doing the whole like pan flip. I got really good at that. So that was like my little quarantine side project was I wanted to learn how to make really good omelets. But then I ate way too many of them, and I haven't had one in like a month.
What was David's reaction when you were just like Emerald Lagasseing it up with your omelets?
Well, I think at first he kind of caught on because whenever I would go to the store, I would get like 2 things of eggs, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And then yeah, like usually around lunchtime, I'd put 3 or 4 in, fry them up, and then he's like, "Oh, omelets again, huh?" Uh, but yeah, it's been really good. Otherwise, I'm not a big breakfast like morning breakfast
Yeah.
guy. Breakfast is my favorite meal,
Mhm.
but like throughout the rest of the day, I can't like right when I wake up in the morning. Like I'll take a cup of coffee for sure, but I gotta wait. I gotta wake up a little bit before my stomach starts working with me.
Mhm. Yeah, breakfast is a ritual that I think we as a culture have lost.
Hmm.
And I mean, a lot of it's kind of down to like the way that we think about work, and we're always kind of rushing to get to the office, don't really have time to make ourselves a big hearty meal, and maybe some of us don't even need that big hearty meal because we're not like going to farm or hunt or anything like that.
Right, we're in a desk in an office chair for 8 9 hours a day. To eat the hearty breakfast is like, okay, now go sit down for a while. Like I'm gonna fall asleep.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, but something Nat Awesome is saying, he just got up, and we're making them hungry. So,
Oh yeah, go
and then
make an
Elfie has,
omelet.
of course, yes, recommended the omelet with pickles. So you have been in Nashville a lot longer than I have. You were born here, right?
Yeah, yeah, just outside in West Nashville. I
Gotcha.
was born, and then I mean most of my life, about 20 years now.
Gotcha. So it's you and Elfie, my wife, and that's about it. The only two native born Nashvillians left.
Yeah, right. It feels like it sometimes. So many people have moved here just in the last 2 3 years.
Yep. And so I bring that up because you have had more of a chance to kind of sample the different breakfast offerings that are around our fair city, whereas I still consider myself on a journey, a vision quest, if you will, to find the best
Hmm.
breakfast in Nashville. So, in your opinion, uh, where's the best breakfast in Nashville?
Honestly, recently, within the last year, I was introduced to Monell's, which there's, I believe, 2 different locations here in town. One's over by the airport, which is the one that I went to.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I think is closer to downtown. But they have essentially is like an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet. And instead of you going to the buffet and loading up your plate, they just keep bringing you stuff. Like you have to tell them to stop. Like they will keep bringing you out biscuits and cured meats, bacons, jams. scrambled eggs, the whole nines, like every like classic Southern staple of like breakfast foods.
Mhm.
It's all there and in mass. And it's great because you can just kind of, you pay for your seat. You can bring, I mean, they have huge like dining tables and stuff, so you can bring your whole family in.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, very, very high quality food and as
Mhm.
much as your body can contain. That's been my favorite. And then besides that, like we used to go to another place over in Brentwood called First Watch, and
Mhm.
they have a lot
Yep.
of it's a little bit more expensive, but it's a lot of that. I think like superfoods, like healthier sort
Mhm.
of alternatives. Monell's is great, but it's probably not the best for like your arteries.
Yep. Absolutely.
Which it both have ups pros and cons. I know I'm good with either or, but those are usually my go-to breakfast spots if I'm not going to make a stylish Shogun omelet by myself at home.
That needs to be like a regular feature on Instagram now, Shogun omelets.
Yeah, yeah, or like do them like in the style of like a mandala.
Yep.
That'd be, oh God, that'd be hard. I don't now I'm gonna have to do it. Now I'm gonna spend the next month trying to artesian Shogun omelets.
But yeah, I do like First Watch. When I first moved to town, I was invited to what I have lovingly referred to as Old Man Breakfast,
Mm,
which was my father-in-law and a bunch of his old man friends and me.
okay.
And I was the youngest by like 40 years. Oh, Nat has a question for us. Let me finish the story, Nat, and then we'll get to your question there because
For
that is
sure.
a that is actually a very interesting question that I do want to answer. So, yeah, we would switch off between First Watch. I think we went to the one over by over in Cool Springs, and then the other place we'd go is Puckett's,
Yeah.
and I really like Puckett's.
Hmm.
I mean, people from outside of Nashville might have heard of Puckett's. It's kind of a Tennessee institution. The hype is real. I will say,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I think the hype is real. It's a good place. Don't go to the
100%.
one downtown; you'll never get in.
Well, you might mm, at this point in time,
Yeah,
maybe you might have a chance, but
now is your
usually,
chance to go to the downtown Puckett's.
yeah, swarm.
You
It is
can,
real though.
yep, you can also step outside of the Nashville Puckett's, throw a rock, and hit what used to be our office building,
Hmm. What used to be.
or what used to be my office building. You still go there.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't.
you're right. Yeah, please don't throw any rocks. I
Yes.
might be coming around to get puckets, and you
Mm-hmm.
might hit me. So be
Yep.
careful.
Yep. You'll knock the Ethernet cable out of his hand.
Yeah.
But then the other place that I really like is in downtown Franklin. There is this there is this Irish pub called McCreary's, and
Okay.
they do brunch on Saturdays and Sundays from I think like 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it is like some of the best Irish breakfast you can get anywhere. It's fantastic. They've got good corned beef. They've got this stuff that they call black and tan bread. I don't know how they make it, but it's phenomenal.
Hmm.
They're
McCreary's.
yeah, McCreary's in like
Okay.
right in downtown Franklin.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I haven't gone down to Franklin in a while, but I'm always, as you can see, available for some down home Irish breakfasts
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just let me know when you want to go sometime and we'll hit it up.
for sure. So, what crazy breakfast food would you serve to your PC?
Mm. Well, I have not had a player character in a long time, with the exception of the player character that I am playing in my the Star Trek game that I do once a month.
Hmm.
So I am going to, of course, hijack all PC related questions and direct them towards Cromwell.
Okay.
At least one's directed towards me. I know you have an active PC right now.
Right.
So Cromwell is very much kind of in that Irish tradition.
Hmm.
So, and even though he was raised as royalty, he's very much, uh, he enjoys kind of the simpler things in life. He's the kind of guy who would go into a cabin and just stay there and smoke his pipe and hunt his food and maybe
Kind of a
read a book.
hermit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes to get away from it all sometimes, so he enjoys simpler things. So I honestly just like bacon and eggs. That's probably Cromwell's breakfast of choice.
Very classic staple. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what about? I actually want you to give two answers. So I want you to give your current character, and then I want to know what Borgu would eat for breakfast.
Okay, so that's great, and I appreciate you remembering my sweet baby boy Borgu. Um, so my current PC, we're still playing Adventure Quest,
Mhm.
um, and I'm playing a cleric, was a high elf cleric, essentially through a bunch of different crazy circumstances, got reborn as a Goliath. So I'm a Goliath life cleric. His name is Immerel, and Immerel is that like prodigal son of the hippie child, where his deity is a person that was there really was only like one block of text when I was looking up the background for it, but his
Mhm.
deity is Dian Kecht, and in my head it was that kind of Irish Gaelic sort of attuned to nature, but very much like appreciates life and
Mhm.
is very like naturally inclined. Probably wouldn't eat many meats, so I'm
Mhm.
thinking like some kind of like in that high fantasy setting, like wheat and barley grain, sort of like hot cakes,
Yep.
with a little bit of like preservatives, like strawberry jam or something. If he had the time and the means, he'd cook up some for him and his party, and then probably just a slew of just fresh fruits and veggies.
Mhm.
Very much like vegan mentality.
Mhm.
Um, would probably be his choice for Borgu, and the chaotic masterpiece that he is. I feel like, like he's kind of one of those grab and goes. Like there's so much going on for him, and he was a half orc bard. This was my first character that I ever
Mhm.
played in Dungeons and Dragons officially, and like had in a campaign setting. We talked about the last time you had brought me on
Mhm.
for Rolling Bones. He was just such a wild, lovable force of nature. Like I feel like to sit down and get him to like have breakfast with you would be a challenge in itself. I feel like he would just like be like grabbing, sprigs of, berries and things just in the wild. Like he was always on the go. There's always things to do.
Mhm.
Could be bacon and eggs, could be barley and grain, could be fruit and veggies, could just be, somebody else's food off of their plate when they're not looking. He was just he just did it all, man. I had no idea what I was doing with that character, but by the end of it, man, it just like he flourished 100%.
Yeah, it's whatever craft services has for him.
Mm-hmm. It was always there's always anything can be food if you're brave enough.
Absolutely. And and Elfie, as far as what kind of eggs Cromwell would eat, because Cromwell is also an extension of me, the answer is scrambled.
Hmm. Pocket bacon.
Pocket
Yeah.
bacon.
That's Borgu for sure. He's got
Absolutely.
the reserve of pocket bacon.
I uh I definitely would carry around pocket bacon, but we all know kind of how bacon goes down in this household.
And how is that?
My wife does not like the smell of bacon.
Oh, so you have to do like an
Mhm.
outdoor grill kind of thing.
Yep.
I gotcha.
And then uh, Elfie also brings up one of my players in my Saturday game, Horgrim Hohum, the dwarven bard. He
Yeah.
has recently taken to routinely stocking his pockets with sausages.
Pocket sausage.
Yes, so pocket sausage as well.
So is it specifically labeled a sausage pocket, or is it just any pocket can be stored with sausage?
I don't remember what the genesis was. I think they were offered sausage by like the Pirate King, who they were kind of under the care of for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
and he just like, I think they had to run out pretty quickly, and so he grabbed 3 sausages and stuck them in his pocket.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they've
because you
been oh
no, it's just like like in blue jeans, like they've got like your regular pockets and then that little tinier like mini half pocket,
yep.
like just a little like secret compartment for just like bacon and sausage.
Yep, the watch pocket.
Yeah.
Even though we've been wearing watches on our wrists for 100 years now.
Well, yeah, I mean everything's digital, so not even that.
Yeah.
I can remember the last time I wore a physical watch.
And Nat Awesome wants to know if Horgrim is compensating. He will tell you no.
Hmm.
But as the dungeon master, I will tell you probably.
Yeah. Circle of truth. I don't know.
Yeah. There have been there have been so many times, every time he introduces himself to someone, he goes, Horgrim Hohum, perhaps you've heard of me, and I always roll a history check secretly.
Yeah.
So, Spoonie, if you're watching, that's what happens. I always manage to roll super low on that history check. So even though they're like approaching level 10, which is kind of the level where people start to know who you are and your reputation gets around, I'm always rolling low enough that when he introduces himself, most people are like, "No idea.
Yeah.
Who are you?"
Who are you? Zone of truth. That's what I was thinking of.
Absolutely.
If you put him in a zone of truth, is that what he would say? He wasn't compensating?
Well, no, probably not. Well, Gunner, I did promise you a surprise.
Yes.
Once we jumped on here, I thought in our last conversation on Rollin' Bones that we had exhausted all of the kind of crosstalk that involved both your dad and RPGs.
Is there more?
I thought we had run out of it, but it turns out there is in fact more,
Oh,
because on Tuesday, this Tuesday instead of Monday, me and John Hambone McGuire from the Vintage RPG podcast are going to be talking about WWE Know Your Role,
no way.
the one of 2 officially licensed WWE RPGs.
No way.
You will notice the cover here is just abysmal.
I mean, look at those. That is just, they're selling it.
Yep.
Wow.
You've got, first of all, why is Bob Holly, I always bring this up, why is Bob Holly front and center on your
Mm-hmm.
RPG that you want people to buy? No
Yeah.
offense to Bob Holly,
Mm-mm.
but he's not, I mean, like Kurt Angle's in the back.
Yeah. No, I mean, if anything, put Kurt in the front
Yep.
and have him doing like a, power pose
Mhm.
or an American flag or something. Like,
And the funny thing is, Triple H is on the back cover.
no, there, yeah, like
So
that.
Triple H
Like,
is on the back.
put Hunter on the front. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Hey, Dad, why am I on the back? Shut up. I had nothing to do with this. I don't even know we're
Wow.
making this damn thing.
So this just came out.
This came out in 2005. This is an
Oh,
old
okay.
game.
I had no idea.
And it's not a very good game. I will say that. It's kind of terrible. Basically, someone took the 3.0 D20 rules
Okay.
and thought we could make a wrestling game out of that, but no. No, really, D20 is not designed for what you would need for a wrestling game. So a lot of the mechanics just kind of are clunky and don't work.
Hmm.
But I bring this up because there are some wrestlers who are statted, and of course,
There he is.
yep.
So okay, so give me some of the features that stand out to you.
Okay, so his class, he's multi-classed. So he is level 18 total,
Okay.
power superstar 10, rough superstar 8.
Superstar 10.
Mhm. He is attitude face, which I guess he was at this time. I was not watching in 2005.
Oh, it might have been the Attitude Era. I can't remember.
His picture here is Dead Man, so I think he might have come back as the Dead Man at this point. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
And let's see, height and weight 6'8" and 328. Weight class heavyweight. His lift DC is 15. He has a +6 bonus to reputation, and then here are his abilities. Keeping in mind just traditionally, D&D with your regular stats, 20 is about as high as you can go. But strength 21.
Oh wow, he's gone beyond the threshold.
Yep. Dex 12.
Yeah.
Con 20.
Yeah.
Int 13. Wisdom 15 and Charisma 14.
Okay. So like, is this like a hybrid? You said multi-class, like a fighter necromancer? Like what are we?
So the way that classes work here is it's all kind of like your classes are based around your wrestling style.
Mhm.
So, someone like Eddie Guerrero is let's see, he is an aerial superstar / savvy superstar / technical superstar. So basically, he's a high flyer combined with a technician, and then combined with like a charisma based
Yeah, like
wrestler.
a charisma grappler. I was gonna say, like charisma caster, but wrestling terms. That's so amazing. First of all, thank you for sharing that because that made my week. That absolutely just blew my mind that that's a thing. But also, like the more that I'm thinking about it, like it's not far off from WWE
Right.
to try and adapt their program, their broadcast, their network into everything else in existence, like video games,
Mm-hmm.
Dungeons and Dragons. Like they have just like they just have their like all their different little like eggs in so many different baskets,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's amazing.
But then just a couple other things I wanted to point out here.
Yeah.
Because of the like division of moves here, there's a couple of Taker's moves that fall under what would be technically considered aerial maneuvers. So one of the feats that he has is aerial maneuvers proficiency. And again, no offense to the Great Texas Red, but when I think about the Undertaker, I do not think proficient in aerial maneuvers.
Yeah, like Rey Mysterio level,
Yeah.
like he's not bouncing off the ropes. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he can, you give him a minute and he'll walk the top rope, but like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not so much like an acrobatics check as it is an athletics
Mm-hmm.
check.
Yeah, and it's on there so we can do the flying clothesline and the old school.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
as far as like aerial, like Taker's not going to be busting out a Hurricane Rana on someone.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious to see.
Just like yeah, like in the Twilight
Yeah.
years, like, he's just like he's got that whole like the intro and like the bringing the lights up and just the very like somber look,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just like comes out at like 60 miles an hour, like what is this?
Just in the last evolution of the Undertaker, I just want to see him show up on 205 Live and be like, "I'm a cruiserweight now."
He drops like 150 pounds and he just like completely like hits a second wind
Yeah.
and starts yeah, oh my gosh.
I'm gonna do a shooting star press.
Just do like every move has like one or two front flips in it just
Yep.
for flair. Like it's just like bouncing around. Oh my gosh.
I mean, if you think about it, the Spanish Fly is like a choke slam with a flip, but
Yeah.
yeah, that is those are the Undertaker stats in a D20 system. So
Oh man.
I just thought I should share that with you.
And you just got that book recently.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
to do for the podcast because it has a
Oh.
bit of a reputation
Hmm.
of not being very good.
Yeah, if we get a chance to meet up in person again, please bring that. I would love to thumb
Absolutely.
through that and just see how they've adapted everything. That's
Mhm.
incredible. Thank you for sharing that. It made my week.
I'm glad I could bring that to you.
Mm. And also, I'm anticipating now that the next time we do this, you will continue to prove prove us wrong that there are many more adaptations that we can bring in.
Just going
Uh,
to just going to continue searching out Undertaker related RPG stuff.
yeah, like they have like all the 3D printed minis for like all the characters and legendary monsters that are based on like feuds in the D&D or the excuse me, the WWE history and lore. Oh,
See,
fantastic.
Reaper, well, actually, a lot of miniature companies are pretty bad about here is someone that looks like someone famous or someone from another show, but we've renamed him something cheekily similar.
Yeah.
Like, I got an Odd Job mini from them, like Odd Job from James Bond, the guy who throws the bowler hat.
Hmm.
Instead of being called Odd Job, he's called Tasker.
Tasker. Mr. Tasker.
So if there's someone out there with, like long hair and a leather duster and a motorcycle, and they're like, the mortician
Yeah,
or
exactly.
the
The
funeral
mortician.
home director.
So wait, would like Pussy Galore be like many cats?
I suppose. Yeah.
Okay.
Minnie.
Yeah, mini cat.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great.
Absolutely. So throughout this kind of this lockdown that we've been in, have you guys continued to like game over Zoom or something like that?
Yeah, we've so since because most of us are in the same place of work, so we're all in the same circumstance as far as, working from home, for the time being, uh, seemingly through the rest of 2020. Um, we decided to shift gears and adapt our where we play together at a table at someone's home. We pushed all the assets into Roll 20, and
Okay.
I've only done that a couple times with a few other friends, and it was very um, kind of slapdash. Like we wanted to play together, and we didn't really get into a lot of the fine details and what you could really what roll 20 is capable of doing.
Mhm.
Niles went through and pushed everything that he had into, for Adventure Quest, and we've been doing that for the last 2 months. We actually just had our first reunion session,
Oh,
session
nice.
session 69. Was this Thursday, and it was in fact a very nice session.
Hmm.
But it was great. Yeah, it was really cool to see how well the in-home game kind of translated to Roll 20. He did a really great job, and it felt like,
Hmm.
as close as we could get to being in person. But of course, the ideal is getting everyone together and seeing each other's reaction and all listening to the same music and background. And but Roll 20 was great. It was a really good substitute. And then David actually started his own um, campaign. He actually booted up the Lost Mines of Fandelver,
Yep.
which
Yep.
has been awesome. And we all made new characters, and he's the GM now for that, and he's doing a really great job. We're having a blast with that. So now we've got two campaigns that we're rotating through,
Mhm.
and that's been great for morale. I can say with confidence,
Mhm.
it's been really nice.
Yeah, David. He messaged me a couple times about Fandelver stuff,
Yeah,
and one thing that he noticed, and I mean, you guys as players probably noticed this as well. Fandelver is a great adventure, but there's this weird thing about it where just because of how weird balance is at first through third level, sometimes you will just destroy everything put in front of you, and then sometimes you will just get trounced.
I've been downed 3 times, and the first session twice, 2 out of 3 times.
Hmm.
And I'm playing a monk. I'm playing a Way of the Open Hand monk.
Yep.
So like, I had to kind of shift my player mentality from like off
Hmm.
tank heal, like Goliath level HP, and we're
Yep.
level 15 now, to level 1 bare bones monk.
Yep.
So that was kind of my own fault for running into the fray. And
Hmm.
my character's nature is like, you look at him funny and you're gonna catch some hands. So yeah,
Yep. You're
it
you're
is.
you're DPS now, so You're a glass cannon.
Exactly. But you're exactly right. There are those moments where it's like you could we will take out waves, hordes of enemies, and
Mhm.
then like one bugbear will like really make us reconsider our adventuring career.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Mhm.
And we had that actually last session, Tuesday. We fought one of, I guess, like the mini bosses,
Mhm.
who was a doppelganger,
Yeah.
and they had really high bonuses to attack, and then they also had like multiple damage dice to roll, and they rolled really high. Like that's also the other factor is like you can have amazing powerful abilities that deal a bunch of damage, but also the dice, you can roll ones and twos and
Yeah.
not deal as much damage. They rolled really high on the really strong abilities and almost downed our cleric player, who was Niles' character. And it was like it was immediately it was like, whoa, where did we do? Are we? Are David? Are you okay? Like, did we upset you?
Because he sent me a message. He was like, "Hey, what do I do about this particular?" I think it was the wizard fight in the Red Cloaks stronghold.
Mm-hmm.
He
The
was
red
like,
brands.
yeah, the red brands. He was like, how do I? He's like, I'm trying to think about balance here with this particular caster. I thought he was just talking about in general, like in a general dungeon. And I was just like, well, with this party composition, you should probably, if you want to do one lone boss, you should probably throw something like this at him. And I sent him something from Volo's Guide, and he was like, oh, we're doing Lost Mines of Fandelver. And I was like, oh, just make sure he's not alone.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the weird things about D&D that we kind of bring to the table as people who like video games. You get a boss, and you think in your mind, a boss is a lone enemy that's going to be able to just destroy stuff. But in a turn-based environment like D&D, you have to think about action economy.
Yep.
And if you've got action economy, then you need minions of some sort.
And especially so in earlier levels
Yeah.
where we're level 3 and action economy, like your enemies as a DM, like they're not going to have legendary actions. I mean, you can, like if you really want to make your players sweat and start throwing out legendary actions in the third session. Yeah, you can, but it's crucial to like really pick and choose what kind of abilities you want to showcase and yeah, give a good challenge. Um, but yeah, it ended up being that the big bad of that encounter, we found them alone in their study, and it did not go well for them.
Just open the door. It's just him and David. Just his mind's like, oh shit.
Yeah, this is what Ryan was talking about.
Did you guys like get the drop on him? Did you sneak up on his henchman?
Yeah, we like systematically cleared the
Gotcha.
dungeon out, and there was one room left. We had snagged a bunch of the red cloaks, so we had our now mastermind rogue go in and sort of impersonate one of the a new recruit of one of his lackeys, and they were all in this room playing poker. And he walks in and he's like, "Hello, yeah," and he's that very like Legolas, like high elf
Mhm.
kind of presence, but like wants to be an adventurer. So he like walks in. He's like, "Hello, yes, I'm here to join the Red Brands. I was told to meet with Mr. Glassstaff," and they're just like, "Yeah, dude, he's in the other room. Bugger off!" Like we're in the middle of a game, like the meta like game within a game.
Yep.
But yeah, and then we just waltzed into his study. These five just motley crew style adventurers, like
Hmm.
yeah, we destroyed him.
Well, David, in that case, if the dice are against you, the dice are against you.
That's
So
how it goes.
no plan survives contact with the PCs.
No.
So I do have to ask you guys, having played Fandelver myself, and having run people through it, the very first kind of mini dungeon that you go through, where the goblins have the wolves chained up. What did you guys do with the wolves? Because after you tell me what you guys did, I'll tell you what my party did.
So we have a Furbolg player
Mhm.
who is really, I feel like playing with him now for almost 2 years, is really coming out of his shell as like a role playing sort of perspective.
Mhm.
He is playing a Totem of the Bear barbarian. So you think like the most ideal race to play, a
Mhm.
Furbolg who is anywhere between 7 to 9 feet tall. They're big people.
Mhm.
Um, and then also just, have the ability to turn invisible at any point, which is so scary that someone
Mhm.
that big, you think like someone who has a foot on the phenom can go invisible and then just pop up behind you and
Yep. Much like
file.
the Phenom can.
Yeah, it just appears pops out of the ring and pulls you down into hell.
Mhm.
Um, he is playing this character with a very like tribal sort of, you know, purge the land of what he calls the dark light. And so he's very peaceful. He's very like jolly and jovial. But when you mess with his friends or you exhibit any signs of the dark light, we call it, he flies into a friendly rage and will just, I mean, like accordion style, like will
Mhm.
crush you. But he also has this very like in tune with nature. He talks about his clan, the Kriggerbor, family lineage, and like he just goes on this like waxing poetry. It's very cool to see because
Mhm.
he's also kind of played those canonically like those kind of hokey jokey. Like if he can't do anything or he misses an attack, his bonus action is he will flip you off or throw a rock at you or something of that like. So it's really cool to see him kind of coming out of his shell. To answer your
Mhm.
question, the wolves, we went in and we encountered them. We took out some of the goblins, and he actually pacified one of them
Mhm.
with a very high animal handling check. He succeeded, and he actually had a wolf companion with us for like the first 2 sessions.
Oh, nice.
So it actually really came in handy. But we got swept away by that water trap. I will say that did
Mhm.
we fell right into that one, hook, line, and sinker.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
See what my party did, and I'm glad that Spoony Sage is here. And
Spoonie.
yeah, so Spoony, just so you know, we had a conversation surrounding
The crew.
pocket bacon,
Yes.
and Horgrim's pocket sausages came up.
Hmm.
Also, Nat in chat wants to adapt the tactic that I've been using with you when you introduce yourself to people. Just cards on the table, so you know that I've been doing this the whole time. Every time you introduce yourself as Horgrim Hohum, perhaps you've heard of me, I roll a history check, and I consistently roll super low. So that's why barely anyone's heard of you.
I love it.
But what my party did, and I had set this up as this like political intrigue. Um, you're on the brink of war, you're trying to prevent the entire world from going to war, and there's mysterious happenings on this far distant island where evil used to be. It was all, dark and grim and serious.
Hmm.
And one of the first things that happens is they go into the cave and they see these wolves, and I've got a party full of animal lovers, and it's absolutely, like your barbarian did. It's absolutely viable to get them to calm down and let them go, and take one with you or something like that.
Yeah.
They were able to calm them down. They didn't want to take them into the cave with them because then something could happen to them.
Yeah.
But they let them out, and then they want to name the wolves.
Of course.
And we spent I don't think we spent too terribly much time on this, but the names they came up with were special, shall we
Okay.
say.
Sure.
One of them was Fenrir. um, I can never remember what the second one was, but the last one was Glitter Bomb.
Glitter bomb the wolf.
Glitter Bomb the wolf.
Oh.
And then Spoonie's character wrote the Ballad of Three Wolf Moon, since he's a bard. And I made up this whole Renga. Renga was the second one. So it was Fenrir, Renga.
And
Do you
Glitter Bomb.
mind? Sorry, my cat. I'll just move so everyone can see. This guy, as he is getting in the litter box, now I'll give him some privacy.
Yeah. Clearly doesn't want any.
Yeah, he likes to make noise.
Mm.
And even like once he's conducted his business, he will sit in there and just scratch the dome around the litter box. Just because he can. Just because he knows it bothers me.
He's trying, because you're trying to do something.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you're on a meeting with a customer? Oh, you're doing a stream? Nah.
Nah. It's my time.
And yes, Spoonie Sage points out there's a very important love triangle verse in the Ballad of Three Wolf Moon.
Between the wolves.
I suppose.
Oh.
And Spoonie, would it be too much to ask for you to tell us who ends up with who at the end of the ballad? Does Glitter Bomb find love in a hopeless world?
They found Dove in a soapless place. It's like one of my favorite parodies of Rihanna's song.
Absolutely. Ronan.
I see him. He's
he's just going to town.
One of those days he'll break through.
Let's see if I can get him with these.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Works like a charm.
Hey, what's that? What you got?
I don't want to reward you for bad behavior, but I suppose I should give you a treat. There we go. That damn cat. I love him. He's fantastic, but he's got some issues, let me tell you.
The fickle attention seeking of cats is just an ongoing phenomenon. We grew up, and my mom, I don't know how this happened, but we had one cat, which turned into like 4 cats, which then turned into 9 in our house growing up.
Oh,
and it was like a weird feline sitcom, man. Like they had their own social structure, how they navigated throughout the house. Like I still love cats, even despite living with 9 of them at one point. They are just such interesting creatures to observe and just watch them in their day-to-day. And the fickle, like, they'll come to you when they want their attention. Like you can't approach them like until they're ready. I don't know.
9 cats and no cucumbers.
No, not a one.
Because that would be 10 individuals who were afraid.
Parody or tragedy. But isn't it all art? Yeah. I mean, true art. True art is pain.
Yeah.
Art is suffering.
So with my games recently, we've been online, and I've been doing this thing where I think I told you about Dark Sun.
I think so, yeah.
And so with Dark Sun, kind of the idea when it came out is that you're not doing the typical D&D things. Like there's not a lot of dungeon crawls and stuff like that. I've mostly been doing a lot of dungeon crawls with my Dark Sun game.
Yeah.
Apparently I cannot use a rule book to save my life.
That's fine. We wing like 90% of it anyways, right? Because like you said, even the best plans made with the best intentions, your players will inevitably take you on the road less traveled.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the players recently entered this ziggurat. Just like this crazy rainbow pyramid.
Okay.
That was built so that a sorcerer king could turn himself into a dragon. Which in the world of Dark Sun, there's only one dragon. He was not born that way. He made himself that way so that he could basically keep the Dark Lord that used to rule over the planet of Athos at bay.
And through similar means,
yes.
From like a ziggurat and a rainbow pyramid, like, okay.
Yeah, he had to build this whole, he had to go through this whole ritual. And so this was built as part of that ritual for another Sorcerer King to... Crazy Rainbow Pyramid is my favorite One Piece opening.
Me too, Spoonie. Oh man.
Mm-hmm. We have no less than 3 One Piece fanatics on the show right now, including Gunner here.
Yes.
Both my wife and Spoonie love One Piece. I believe Elfie is actually caught up on One Piece.
Oh, congratulations and well done. That's not an easy task.
She's sad because it keeps coming to an end, and I keep telling her the One Piece is going to end up being the friends we made along the way, but she doesn't want to believe me.
It would be really, it's beautiful, and of course, like, Luffy is like the straw hat is the treasure. It's the friends he made along the way, right? But you go on for 20 years, like, and if you've caught up with it and stuck with it this long, I mean, we have to stick around. We have to see how it ends. It has to end. It has to end at some point, people.
Absolutely.
Ichiro Oda, anyways, we can go on. We can do a whole nother show just about that, but
Yep, it's going to end up being a single chicken nugget. A true One Piece.
Yeah. But so this setting, you were telling me he's turning himself into a dragon, or trying to.
Yeah, so this ritual happened like 20 years or 25 years prior to the campaign.
Mm.
And what happened was the ritual was interrupted by the heroes of the Spoonie, try telling that to your D&D players at the end of a dungeon when they ask for loot.
Yeah.
But he was interrupted by the heroes of the Dark Sun novels. And so this world is kind of set basically if only half of the Dark Sun novels had happened and the players were killed, or the characters were killed off, and the world just kind of reverted back to what it was before the novels, but with one Sorcerer King missing. That's the world that the players find themselves in. And so they're trying to break into the ziggurat to get an item that's pertinent to the overall quest that they're doing, which is there's a lich who has determined that they are the biggest threat to him, despite the fact that they're like level 5. And so he's just hell-bent on them clashing and killing each other. And so they're looking for a way to take him down. They're looking for his spell book, which is inside the ziggurat. And what my plan is for this is that it's Roy G. Biv from top to bottom. They're on the violet level right now. They just got there. And so I'm trying to do like color themes for each level.
Okay.
The problem is I have no idea what to do for violet.
Okay.
I'm not sure like what's purple besides a purple worm which can't fit into a like pyramid.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of that's a rocky start. It's to initiate the whole Roy G. Biv with a gigantic purple worm.
Yep.
It's like, well, what can I expect for blue, green, all the way? I mean, first thing, I mean, historically, purple being like royal, that kind of the purple silks and satins, like if it's like a fallen king or some like visage or aspect of like royalty, perhaps tied loosely into like maybe a riddle or a classic D&D puzzle relating to like there's a hoard of treasure amongst you, and it's that age old, like, if you take a single gold coin, like the whole thing melts or gets filled with sand or something. You have to kind of challenge yourself with greed, or what's the one thing you could take from this place, which is what would be the key to the next level. Just spitballing.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And kind of riffing off of that, because we have currently this weird moral dilemma in the party. One of my one of the players is a Thrycreen, which is a like 7-foot tall praying mantis man.
What?
Yeah, that's one of the great things about Dark Sun. There's all these different weird races that you can play in addition to the normal D&D races. And the normal races are weird too. Like elves are super tall, super lean. They run everywhere they go, and they like have tribes in the desert.
Oh, so they have like one speed, like
Yeah.
it's running or not.
Mhm.
Two speeds, stopping and running.
Yeah. Dwarves are completely hairless and almost extinct because they were like
Uh,
hunted in times past.
yeah.
And then halflings live in trees and like they live in the forest and they're cannibals.
Oh, like a darker twist on the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
Yes. Yeah, they will eat any living flesh.
Ooh, that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I follow.
But then you've got these crazy races in Athos, the Thri-kreen, but you also have moles, which are human dwarf hybrids that are basically bred for gladiatorial combat.
Wow. Okay.
So we have this Thri-kreen who used to be a gladiator. Thri-kreen, you kreen, we all kreen for living flesh. Yes.
Yep.
The motto of Dark Sun. But we have this Thri-kreen who used to be a gladiator, and he bought his own freedom. But now that he has his freedom, because he was born in the pit, he has no idea what to do with it.
hmm
And so in many ways he's trying to find his way in life. But one of the first things that I did was I gave him this magic great axe, which is a metal great axe. Metal is a super scarce resource in Dark Sun.
hmm
So he's got this magical metal great axe. The problem is it's a weapon of vengeance. So there's an evil spirit that haunts it.
Ah, yes.
And the spirit was basically telling him to kill everything. Whenever he would rage, whenever he would kind of get locked in the zone, it would basically be a whole task in and of itself to get him to stop, to the point where he ended up killing people he did not intend to kill at one point.
hmm
And one of our players, another Thri-kreen, this time he's a Thri-kreen druid, he kind of stole the axe from Claw, the gladiator, and had the curse removed from it. And so now, even though it's still, a magic axe, he has this missing piece of his consciousness, this missing voice that was kind of driving him to do something. And
Hmm.
so he's kind of back to square one where he feels completely lost. And tying that back into what you said about kind of, playing on people's greed.
Yeah.
If in this purple room where all this treasure is, you can be offered your heart's desire.
Mm.
What if his heart's desire ends up being the spirit?
To reconnect that
Yeah.
voice and that driving force. It's the clarity where you think, I finally rid myself of
Mm-hmm.
this primal sort of instinct to slay and kill,
Mm-hmm.
and the voice is snuffed out, but at the same time, it's like, well, you know that had its benefits, that helped me achieve my goals, and without that, I kind of floating along and wondering, what else is there to reignite that or to
Mm-hmm.
reconnect it. It's like I mean, yeah, that I can see that. I can see that being like, for needing motivation or helping sort of maintain that presence on the battlefield. You need that sort of resolve. It'd be interesting. And honestly, I'm very familiar with the concept because my character in Adventure Quest had a similar item, which honestly came from a Christmas one shot, a Christmas one shot that we did. Who was essentially, the big bad was a variant of Jack Frost,
Hmm.
and he wanted to sweep the land with cold and create that, you know, that icy, barren landscape, and essentially destroy Christmas. Destroying Christmas was like his whole driving factor. And what we got from it, and what my character wielded for such a long time, was an item called Bitter's Edge, and it was this malleable. It was a gourd of water that when you drew it out, it had two forms. It was like a icy scimitar or like an icy greatsword. So it was uh, two parts. You could do
Yeah.
dexterity or strength based,
Mm-hmm.
versatile. And the problem was is that my character has such a high wisdom as a cleric, wisdom caster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was so high. Niles would have me roll to make saves against this item trying to talk to me, and I always rolled like above a 15 without fail. And it went on for probably about 40 sessions of
Mm-hmm.
him trying to get me, like every time I would attack with it, every time I would make a save, every time I saved every time. And I kept thinking about it, and I was like, it's like it gets stronger.
Yep.
Like the longer you go on without listening to it and without it sort of like trying to take you over, the
Mm-hmm.
DC goes up every time. And I kept saving, and it was almost like a stockpile effect,
Mm-hmm.
where when it finally happened, and when it felt like it wasn't getting what it wanted out of Imrel,
Mm-hmm.
we gave it to somebody else to sort of keep, because it started messing with my mind. And I would wake up in the middle of the night. Well, I wouldn't wake up. It was like a sleepwalking thing, but it would control me, and I would attack the party. So we finally started
Mm-hmm.
seeing elements of this cursed item. We gave it to somebody else to kind of look after it. And he was like an artificer, like arcane enchanter, to research it and maybe find
Mm-hmm.
out more. We left it in our home base, which is like a pocket plane. And the next time we came back, covered in snow. It was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
um, but that's interesting. The idea of removing your connection to a cursed item, which arguably made you stronger, made you more ferocious, and had this sort of ferocity in combat, to be presented at the start of this, Rainbow Pyramid One Piece dungeon. Um, that it's a to reconnect you with that, and the play on greed. I like that a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm. Because one thing, and one idea, I'm glad that you kind of mentioned that, because Dark Sun has a very strong psionic connection in it. Like almost everything is some kind of latent psionic ability.
Yeah.
So if this whole thing were some kind of like mind trap that the Sorcerer King had said a long time ago, it's like in reality it's an empty room with one key in it that takes you to
Hmm.
the next level. But it's this whole mind trap of the riches of the Sorcerer King can be yours. Whatever your heart desires, it can be yours. But as you take it, or as you pick something up, it melts away or it hurts you in some way.
Right.
And so the players will have to find some kind of way to get out of it. I really like that idea. That
Yeah. Is a play on greed, and also your mental resolve
Yeah.
to, you know, put your selfish desires
Mm-hmm.
aside, or fall to them.
Mm-hmm.
It very much like can go one of two completely different directions. But yeah, I think that's a good start. I mean, so that's the first one, but you kind of have a better sense of the rest of the colored tiers.
Yes. Yeah, purple is the only one that I'm just like, I have no idea what to do here
Yeah.
because it's purple. But no, I mean like blue you can do water or ice or electricity stuff.
Hmm.
I think indigo might end up being water, and then blue will end up being like ice.
Yeah.
And ice will be very interesting because it's largely a desert tableland setting. And
Mm.
so you're going to like get into a super cold environment and they're going to have no idea what to do.
Well, probably being geared for hot weather,
Yeah.
like, or more heat based, like lighter clothing, and then to jump into like an ice dungeon, it's like, oh no,
Yep.
I'm very cold.
Yep. And then it's going to be a weird thing where like everything that they need is at the top, because if it's in the middle, they're just going to leave.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're over it. Let's
Yeah.
let's get out of here.
So the thing they need is going to be at the top. Oh, Elfie, they're going to start a bobsled team.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
We we recently watched Cool Runnings. I think it was like 2 weeks ago because
Yeah.
we went to Jack Brown's in Murfreesboro, just because we'd never been and everyone was like, "It's the best burger ever." It's a good burger, not the best ever, but it's good.
Yeah.
Um, and ESPN was randomly playing Cool Runnings because sports don't exist anymore, and I just looked over. I was like, "Are they what? Is that Cool Runnings?" And so we looked it up, and Cool Runnings was on Disney Plus. So we were like, let's watch Cool Runnings when we get home. And that is a movie. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, that is a
I've
movie.
I've seen some clips. I haven't watched it myself, but I understand the reference. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they definitely do fantasy style cool runnings through the the ice portion of this pyramid.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, as far as some of the content that you make, you do regular streams on
Mhm.
Fridays, right?
Yeah, well, so the last 2 weeks have been kind of funky,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had to postpone it. But usually on Fridays, my brother and I we will do mostly we'll pick a game from Xbox Game Pass, which there's hundreds of things on there. We'll try and play something new, or just try a new game out, or we'll play one of our favorites that we've played for years. Like I think we played. Diablo was one of the last ones, Diablo 3 in the new season that they did. Sea of Thieves. We mostly just we play games and cut up,
Mm-hmm.
be goofy, and um, usually Friday nights, 7 Central is when on Mixer.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah,
And the channel is it still Shogun and Dancho, or do you guys
yeah,
do it on your channel?
yeah. So I've linked mostly to he's the Golden Doncho, and then I'm the Shogun Gun. Both we stream live, but we co-stream, so you can catch it on either one. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we usually send out an announcement the day or the day of prior on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep, absolutely. I still need to jump on one of those streams. Most Fridays I'm actually free. Sometimes I'm playing.
Yeah.
Like that Star Trek game is the first Friday of every month, but I do need to jump on there. I've been meaning to do that for a while. Actually, I'm sorry that I haven't.
Oh no, it's fine. We used to do it on Sundays, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I think at the end of the week, either most people are kind of winding down, or they're with their families, or various religious functions.
Mm-hmm.
So we opted to push it back to Friday nights, and just kind of an effort for us to have more energy, and not being so worn out at the end of the week, but just trying to find a time that better works to have an audience come in, and it's very helpful too, at least in my perspective, and having streamed for the last about 2 years
Mm-hmm.
on my own, and then now with co-streaming with Doncho. It's nice to have some interaction, some participation in
Yeah,
the chat. So
absolutely.
it's been really nice. Yeah, I think Fridays worked a lot better. But he's in the middle of moving, so we ended up
Mm-hmm.
postponing it last night. Hopefully picking up this coming Friday. We'll jump back in and send the announcements out. And yeah, would love to have you. Would love to uh, have you in the group if you guys are around. Come and join us. Come hang out.
Absolutely. I will. Okay, so I can't host the stream because it's on Mixer and this is on Twitch, but I will drop a
Yeah.
link to Mixer in the description on the YouTube replay of this particular video. Anyone who catches this on YouTube, just go into the notes down at the bottom, the doobly doo, as Matt Colville likes to call it,
Hmm.
and just click on that link there and check out Shogun and Dancho. These are guys that I would have lunch with and coffee with on a regular basis when we were all working in an office.
Oh, I miss it, man. I miss it so
I
much.
do miss coffee and contemplations quite a bit.
Yeah,
Just mornings don't feel the same anymore.
I know. But I appreciate that. Thank you, and thank you again for having me. This is awesome. I'm more than happy to join you when I can Saturdays. You usually do Saturday mornings.
Yep, I usually do Saturday mornings. And for those of you boneheads out there, this is going to be, like I said at the top of the show, kind of a rotating co-host spot. Um, I'll try to bring Gunner on a lot. I've also extended the invitation to our friend David. Um, Spoonie Sage, you are of course always welcome to co-host if you would like to. Next week, my good friend Kyle Smith from my original D&D group is going to be joining me in the co-host chair, and I've extended the challenge to him to pick a breakfast food that I will then attempt to make.
Ooh.
So we'll be going over kind of the results of that challenge and seeing if I can actually expand my horizons and make something other than cheeseburger omelets.
And on that note, if you end up getting a recipe written down or have instructions, please let me know. Send that my way. I would love to try that.
Absolutely.
And we can compare notes on on cheeseburger omelets.
Absolutely. All right, and just so everyone knows, Rollin' Bones this week will be on Tuesday nights. Typically, I like to keep Tuesdays open. I don't want to run at the same time as my good friend Namira, who Spoonie Sage works with, and I like to catch her stream, so I like to keep Tuesdays open. But this week we have a very special guest, as I mentioned at the top of the show, John Hambone McGuire from the Vintage RPG podcast is going to be on the show. And once again, we are going to be discussing WWE Know Your Role, one of the worst
Yes.
wrestling RPGs ever made, with that cover. It'll be fun. It'll be great. If you like wrestling or RPGs, you won't want to miss it. If you don't like wrestling, you still won't want to miss it because it'll be a lot of clowning on sillier aspects of 2005 wrestling. All right, well, guys, that is going to do it for today's morning show here. Gunner, once again, thank you for joining us. Anytime you want to come back, you are absolutely welcome. So
Thank you.
whether or not you rolled a 1 or a 20, ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad that you rolled your bones with us here on Danishes and Dragons. Have a good morning.
Take care. Thank you again.